As an engineer sitting around writing code all day, I see this very popular device and I think, oh, well, if they're buying it, then they need software for it. We can't just take Photoshop and put it on the device, and that's never going to work. So, what pieces of Photoshop maybe we can pull out? Do we take, like the liquify filter, and we stick it on the device? Do we take Camera Raw and stick it on that device? What can we do? So the first thought was, we probably want that information back into Photoshop. You can paint on these devices, so even something as simple as that, can we control Photoshop from the device? And there again, you need a connection. So let's just get that piece first. We'll open up that plumbing, or that pipe, if you will. Everything else we do can leverage that. We still have the mothership running on your desktop with all the power of your desktop computing. Everything came back to, we need a connection. So that's kind of where the SDK evolved from that.
Photoshop has an SDK, or software development kit, and it has for a long time. That's what it's allowed it to be so flexible and extensible. There will be a new version of this SDK which will allow access to this new level of plumbing to communicate with Photoshop. Part of Photoshop being a platform is that Photoshop has never assumed that it spoke the language of every different file format. So we made the architecture open and extensible. We provided an SDK that allowed people to write their own formats for us to ingest, Hubble Space Telescope, proprietary RAW formats, etc., scanners, and to push out to.
The key thing about the Photoshop SDK is it enables the socket protocol. I don't know if you can actually name a programming language today that doesn't have a socket class available as a developer. Just enabling that will allow developers of all kinds, Perl programmers, C++ programmers, Java programmers. You can pick whatever one works really well for you. So if you're a developer and you're excited about this, you go to the Adobe Developer Center, you fill out a quick form there, and that will get you into the pre-release program. You get access to the application, and you get the SDK, which has documentation, examples. What you'll be able to do is just copy-paste sections of the examples into your iPad application, your Android application.
Anyone and everyone who wants to develop for Photoshop is going to be able to do that, and they're going to be able to do it in a much more meaningful way than they have in the past. They're going to be able to reach Photoshop in a way that they never have, and they're going to be able to marry applications to Photoshop in a way that they never have before.
But I think a lot of the excitement is coming out of the community that's writing books or trying to do training. But what they'll be able to do is basically have the book on your iPad, and you'll be reading the book and maybe watching a video in the book. They'll just send the document straight to Photoshop and run the menu item for you. The other cool things we've done in the Photoshop SDK is enabled listening. You can talk to a Photoshop upstairs. Now you're down at the coffee shop doing your stuff, talking to your Photoshop server, having it process things for you, and it looks like you're working. As far as devices, we don't really care. The options are pretty limitless at this point. We've always been very taken aback by what developers have done in the past with our API. So with this new world of these devices and what you can do on them and enabling that, it's going to be really exciting to see what developers come up with and kind of wow us with.